I hope everybody is seeing us. I hope everybody is here. Hello, welcome to AI Hotline. I'm Tracy Gunn. Everybody introduce yourselves. I guess I'm running the show today. I'm bossy, so that'll be easy. Go ahead.
I'm Will Castillo.
I'm Jamie White.
I'm Heather Grizzard.
April Elias.
And yay, we're here to talk AI and all the good things. So I'm still new at the Riverside thing and the streaming. So I hope it's working for everybody. It says it is. I hope it is. So anywho, well, thanks for being and thanks for letting me host, guys, even though I am unpracticed and I'm learning. So I appreciate it. So anyway, I don't know. I thought it would be fun to kind of talk about. I had this weird AI vibe today from everywhere I went online. There was a lot of this kind of doom and gloom and just give it a month or two and it's going to take over the world and universal income because people won't have jobs. There was a lot of that today, all about how AI is scary. And I mean, of course, obviously not focusing because it's the news or whatever, but they're not focusing on all the blessings and benefits, all the ways things will be easier, right? They're focusing instead on all the things that will change, much like, the steam engine right? We're not farmers anymore, most of us, right? But I thought that was I just had this really interesting vibe today about that and all the businesses that are closing and stuff. So not to be a Debbie Downer, but I was it's a weird AI vibe day. So I was glad I was going to talk to you guys all about it. So I don't know. I mean, we don't have a regular cadence yet. Do we want to kind of just talk about what we found was cool this week? What we did? Want to do that?
Yeah.
Does that sound okay for everybody? All right. You ladies are doing an amazing event this weekend. You want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Lots to talk about.
There's lots to talk about. I just said to Heather before we joined, I said, I feel like we have a Pace Morby schedule today. We're in 3 different states. We're visiting a venue. We're having a cheesesteak in Philly as a first experience for Heather, having a cheesesteak in Philly. We are doing workshop things, banking things, contract things, social media things, and then trying to fit in dinner real quick and then coming here doing a podcast.
Yeah, I started out the day with a 101 with Pace.
Oh
my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, it was it was amazing. It was a marketing masterclass. I went into a little bit of what I'm doing and more of the visionary versus integrator thing that I struggle with all the time. And he pretty much broke down what it meant to be a visionary and how to market yourself and be really effective and pulling people into your business. And so it was amazing.
Wow, congratulations. Yeah. How long did it last? He always posts it only took me 3 minutes to fix everything,
I saw that post today. It said 13 minutes. I'm was this call only 13 minutes? Mine was almost 2 hours.
Wow. That's amazing. That was the last guy too, had almost 2 hours. I can't remember who it was.
I think it was Matthew Starr.
Yes, I think you're right. Yeah. Someday I'll get my...
It was amazing. But yeah, we're working on a workbook tonight. So we're really fine-tuning the curriculum for this weekend because it's really been on the fly with a lot of AI and system stuff that it's so customized to different businesses. So we wanted to tailor it to who's attending this weekend.
Amazing. Well, and that's the amazing thing about AI, right? Is that it can be custom. I was on an AI call today and they were talking about the Snow White Disney one bombed, I guess. And when has that ever happened really? Really the worst Rotten Tomatoes. But people are talking about because now you can create your own movies. You can create most people are not sitting for 2 hours and watching a movie. They're scrolling or they're creating a video. I played with the Google VO this week to right? But it's becoming all very customizable is the point, right? There's not really cookie cutter things like QuickBooks for everybody. It's going to become very custom. And I think that's kind of what AI, that's one of, I think the benefits is that it can be really easily adapted to each person, I think that's amazing though.
So I actually launched a project that I've been working on. It's completely AI built. And I launched it this morning. It's called Workflow Waffles.
I loved it. It was so cool.
Yeah, it's super cute, but it was entirely built through AI. The concept of it, the imagery of it, the design, the website design, the copy, all of it. And I even had AI come up with the cute little names. And I used Artistly for the images, which is really cool because you can do reverse prompting. So you can feed it in an image and then it will build a really intense prompt based on what the image is doing. And then from there you can generate images like it. And it also has consistent character and a couple different features, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. I feel like the theme this week, at least what I've been seeing, has been all around like creating or creators or artists or video and just doing them in different ways. And what I saw about the VO3 was because it can get a little expensive if you have it do like the whole thing all at once, but it's to chop it up in smaller scenes and then refine the scene, get that perfect, and then move to the next section appears to be the way that people end up loving their projects at the end instead of saying redo the whole thing. So if you've used in video, that can be expensive to do that. And so I thought that was pretty interesting that people were chunking it out in scenes.
I find it really fascinating that, I mean, it's going so fast. Like there's just no way to even keep up with everything. But that like, you know, one week it's Manus and then the next week, like I've been playing with Bolt and Lovable, but like a few months ago, so I haven't come back to Lovable. And I think Heather, you talked about working with Lovable, I think this week. And then I haven't really played with Gemini at all. But then somebody said Gemini's been like really good. And again, just how they just keep one upping each other. And it's like hard to even keep up. I don't know. It's amazing. And so I'm glad we get to talk about it and play. But I love that you did that, Heather. Like it was really fun and really cute. And did you just kind of guide it or just kind of ask it to do it and just did it?
So most of the content came from ChatGPT. So
Mhm.
I came up with, I can't remember the initial prompt, but I had the general idea of I want to deliver something that's more of like snapshot, make.com templates, N8N templates, but I want to do it in a fun way because I'm a business builder by nature. And so once you've built like the first 10 businesses, you want to go with fun ones that are fun to work on. So like this one's going to have like a fresh off the griddle update every week where there's a new waffle recipe coming out.
Love it. I love that. All right. Go, Will. Go, Will.
Yeah, so one of the things that I started working on was on the new, well, it came out a long time ago, but with the new Claude 4, is integrating more of my, again, going back into like my drives, my calendar. I'm really trying to figure it out, like how do I make my own assistant on it? And what are the trends that I have? So I start organizing more of my drives and actually putting naming conventions to them so that way I can actually utilize it. And one of the things I started thinking is like, why is it that when we create like documents, it doesn't automatically come to us to like, okay, let's put some sort of like date to each one of those documents, classify them by date, and then that way you can always prompt back like, hey, what did I do on Tuesday last week? What was my meeting like? So I started like trying to like figure out how to connect then calendars to the Google Docs. So now every time that I have a meeting, there is a note attached to it, and then I turn on the Gemini note taker, so that then it automatically just starts like building my database of meetings and notes without having to have a third party. So with Claude now you can connect all of those things and build a repository with like projects, and those projects then you can actually start, to your point, Heather, of using Lovable and all these different things. I started like just putting specific like notes that I have within those projects, and now every time that I have like some sort of client or whatever, I create a project in Claude that then connects to all my drive, which is also connected to GPT. So Tracy, you were mentioning like how do you go about using all of these? Well, I use GPT mainly for ideation, purely ideation, and then I grab that information that I got from there, and then I put it into Claude to like either write it or code it.
Yeah.
So
And it's, yeah.
it,
They're all good at certain things and certain even in ChatGPT, all the models, they all do different things better or worse, right? And so, and not that I kind of like what you were saying, April, about the video, right? Like if you're really set on you want it to look a certain way, but if you just said, I want a duck walking through the desert, you're probably just going to be thrilled that it did it versus I want the duck to be wearing this, right? When you start to get really specific right now, it may take a bunch of ideations to get what you want, like you're saying, and that can get very expensive. But if you're a little bit more like, I just want it done, right? Which is more my MO. Like, I just want it to be done so I can move the next thing, right? And so, anyway, I'm sorry, Will. Go ahead. I interrupted you. I apologize.
no, all good. Oh, good. So, what do you guys currently finding yourself? I mean, Heather, you're testing pretty much every tool and utilizing it together. So, obviously, I'll probably start with you. But for people listening and essentially like anybody in the future when they hear this podcast, is what are each tool that you use currently for? So give me, for example, like how did you build it? Lovable. Walk me through like walk us through the process of that.
Yeah, so I always start with the brand first because that determines everything. So I had to come up with a name, had to figure out the domain was available, another tedious thing. It's like looking up 50 different domain names. Like I just spend half my time on Namecheap right now. And April and I share back and forth. Oh, we just bought this domain. Like
Yeah.
so many domains.
So many domains.
But yeah, I start there. And then once I have one that it has to resonate with me and like I sit on it for maybe 5 minutes because I go through a lot of ideas, like probably 100 a day sometimes. And so like once I sit on it and I still like it, then I start asking, okay, here's what I want it to do. Come up with this theme, like make it fun, I always use the word cheeky for my copy within ChatGPT. And then it already kind of knows my style. And so it just comes up with like these random ideas. And so like the workflow waffles was a good one. And like there's so many puns in it. So it was pretty easy to write all the copy. And like there's a chef service where you can do like have the installation included. Because a lot of people for these kind of things, they don't really know what to do once they purchase it. So we can actually install it for you, get it into your system. And so like figuring out that. But the biggest piece was the Lovable build and going through, I think I had to upgrade Lovable again. So I went from, I don't know, I'm at like 400 credits a month now because I keep like building websites through it. But I had to go back and forth. And I did discover one thing about Lovable during this build, and that's to always start in chat mode. There's a chat mode that you can turn on. And so if you turn that on, it thinks through things a lot more in depth and it will deliver like a mini book to you about what its thoughts are, rather if you just give it a command and you tell it to go through and do something. So I discovered that, started using that more, and it you can alter the plan too before it goes through. So that's good if you need to like add something or tweak, it's plan before you click implement the plan. And then I wanted to launch it on Sunday and ended up launching it this morning because I had to test it so much. That whole thing about, well, 80% of the time, it takes 80% of the time to build it. And then, or what's the saying? It's like 80% of the time is actually testing it.
Where it's
Yeah.
80/20. Yeah.
Yeah, it was ridiculous how much testing because I had to go through and test all the payments over and over again because there was 3 different use cases. So it was, since I had a recipe and an installation service, they're actually processed in 2 different ways. And there's actually a little chat function too behind it once you purchase, that if you purchase an installation service, you can chat directly with the team and it'll notify you through email. So that was a cool little including thing, but that took a little bit of testing. And then the 3 use cases took the most testing because it kept going into like this whole different direction of like, you can't add 2 different things to the cart. And so I think I purchased things like 70 times testing it. And so it just took a couple days. It was really like making sure everything worked really smoothly. And there's like, for viewers watching, there are ways to do this in test mode. So like if you're integrating Stripe, you can do it in test mode and just put through a bunch of fake purchases, make sure everything works correctly. But I didn't touch any code, relied mostly on Lovable to fix all of its issues.
Mhm.
Anybody could have built what I built.
So did you like have it build all the code and then install the code on like high level or something on a funnel? Where is it hosted?
It's hosted on Lovable. So it's actually connected to Supabase, which is actually where the hosting is, and they have a free hosting plan. So once it hits a certain number of traffic and memory, then you have to upgrade it. And so it's kind of like an Amazon plan or some other hosting plan.
Okay, Jamie, what's going on with you?
I'm mainly in ChatGPT most of the time, but this week I did start playing with Black Forest. I don't know if anybody's used that yet or not. It's a photo editing software, and it runs off of Grok, but you can create images in it, but you can also go in and edit existing images. So you can take something existing and go in and tell it what to do and change things around. So I've been playing with that some. Still not sure if I like it yet or not, but it is easier to use than Adobe. I'll keep playing with it and see what I can find out. But I use ChatGPT a lot to go in and write workflows and basically just a lot of stuff inside of Go High Level. So I'm in there and it writes a lot of the stuff for me within that.
I find it's amazing just all the different things that you can do. It makes your brain hurt a little. It makes my brain hurt. Maybe not everybody's, but it makes my brain hurt for sure. I was building my first little bot and I built it in Manus. I upgraded in Manus and then I timed out. I used all my month's credits, like and I wasn't done. And after 6 hours, I was so mad because it was just the testing. I had to host it. It was working, and then I had to host it, and I didn't know I had to host it. So it's like I'm learning. I mean, know enough to be dangerous, but not necessarily effective. So anyway, long story short, I was like, damn it. And what I realized for myself is that instead of fighting it for 6 hours, I should just be happy that I got it 90% of where I wanted it and then just pay somebody $30 to fix it. Like, this was my little life lesson. I was like, thank you, Lord. Like, that's because I was so upset with myself and I was mad. And then I was stuck because Manus wouldn't talk to me anymore. And then I was just like, okay, this was like an effort of futility. So now somebody is hosting it for me because I am not a coder. I'm just like, I wanted it to do something. Like, I just wanted to talk to my girls every night and count out the drawer with them so I don't have to. That's it. That's all I wanted to do, which has a lot of steps. So anyway, that was my little use case that's practical for me to not have to ever do that again. That is worth my time. So if 6 hours later it worked, that would have been worth it. But 6 hours later that not working was very frustrating. So I think for myself, I'm like, you know what? I don't need to be the expert. I needed to do what I needed to do. And then I can be happily pay somebody, which is the nice part because there's a lot more smart people than me. A lot. Anyway, I'm excited. What are we excited about this week? Like, what new fun things besides your event, guys, and besides all the new releases? What are we excited about?
Well, I mean, I'm excited about, I'm close to the end of one of my builds. So I have 3 builds that are pinned, and one of them I like chip away at it at night. And I shared this on, I think I shared this on a call last night, and it's actually in Manus. And so I keep, so I don't run into the problem to where I won't have enough credits to finish my thing. I keep doing like more research outside of Manus, right? So I start somewhere else. So I'll start in Grok. I like to put stuff in Grok because I always ask, how would Elon Musk do this? Because I know he does stuff like real short, clear, concise, launches fast, iterates fast, finds out problems fast, and solves them. And so I'll take it through that because sometimes you get this huge, robust thing, or if you ask it to build you a sheet, there's like 17 rows across. And I'm like, no. Like, let's dial that back. And so I will still play in multiple tools. But one of the things that I thought was interesting this week that I noticed it was new, and I hadn't seen this before in Manus, is it was like asking me the time that I had to allot to this project to get it done in 48 hours. And then it also was like, hey, would you be able to share your screen on a Zoom tomorrow at 8 a.m.? Like, what's your schedule? I'll be waiting here when you come back. And I was like, really?
That's
And so
crazy.
then, well, I know, but I wanted to do it. And then something else happened, like something for work happened, and I didn't keep my appointment with Manus. And so I'm going to go back, but it's something that I keep like leaving and coming back to because it's kind of a big build. It probably should have 3 versions. And I know I'm trying to do too much in one. And so then I just have to think through like, what is a meaningful way to just get to my version 1? Right. But I feel like I want all of the things. And so I'm in the struggle of like, what can I let go to make sure this core functionality is in place? And so I'm working on that. And that's specifically around YouTube creators and some other things that would be really helpful. And the other thing that I used it for a lot this week was to help me tune in a smart sheet for my W-2. I was like, like we work in smart sheets, but I just haven't spent time like really getting in and dialing in them at a deep level just because I'm so like busy during the day. And so it helped me remove some more bottlenecks in the process. And that was really just automation. It wasn't really AI. It was like an automation question, and it gave me some really good feedback. So Will, that one problem that you and I were trying to solve with the male female interviewer and how to, get their schedule and all that for the scheduling bot. So actually what happened is we just coded it that way in a smart sheet and started an automation. And then the automation just reads it a certain way and then pings those people and says, who's available? Well, they send them a form and then they come back and give their availability. And then it kind of tees up and then it gets scheduled. And I was like, oh my gosh, but I still feel like it's not the exact answer, but it's closer than I've ever been.
Yeah, so that's another thing is not everything AI is like, it's not gonna do it 100%. I mean, we know that. So I think integrating it into the workflow, I think the first step is integrating into the workflow, then thinking, okay, what processes can be enhanced by AI? and doing that little bit of like a thought process, especially if you already have what your SOPs are, right? Like which part of my SOPs can essentially be enhanced by AI in any way, shape, or form. It's a lot of analyzing at the end of the day. Like you really have to sit down and do it. It's kind of like the calendar series that we all know in OC. Like you have to really sit down and actually, okay, what am I doing this week? What am I trying to get accomplished? Same case scenario. You should put at least, I would say, 20 minutes a day on doing stuff like that you can then use ChatGPT and like include it. But to that point, April, a lot of people, or at least me, I often like think that I can go into like a madness, for example. I'm like, let me just ask it this one thing and see if it creates the whole thing. And that's not the case. Just piecing it out into like small little sections. And I think Heather has mastered this at this point because she's deploying things so fast, is piecing it out in small sections based on the project and then really just enhancing what you already know. The idea is to get to the answer of what you already know a lot quicker using these tools. Have you guys, super shifting on this like real quick, have you guys read or heard about AI 2027? Okay, so AI 2027, and if you guys pull it up on your computers, it's essentially a publication done back in 2025, if I'm not wrong, a couple years back, kind of like giving some sort of prediction of where all of this is heading to in the next few years. I mean, in a way, it's like very going back to what Tracy was saying, like the whole feeling like a dooming and AI and stuff. It kind of like details what could happen in the next few years based on the speed that AI is being generated. Now, not trying to, scare anybody on this, but it's more of just being aware on things that could happen. It's also good to know where things could go just in case.
Mm-hmm.
But this has been extremely interesting, just seeing how all these different companies precisely trying to one up each other, right, are essentially just trying to create AGI. And that's when it's truly going to get to the point where like AI is going to do a lot of these things. And to me, it's very important for at least trying to stay afloat with this type of information so that you can at least make as many additions to your business, to your life when it comes to this stuff, because it's going to definitely make a lot of disruptions in the next 2 years. So yeah, just wanted to share that because I think it's really important that everybody reads this and understands, where some of the predictions are happening in the next couple of years.
We're reading it as you're talking, and this is insane. And there's a lot of shade being thrown on different players.
Yes.
Yeah.
Depends where you're
Yeah,
reading
so-
it, I guess. Well, I mean, did you all see Pace had a interview with Kevin Cho, and he was talking a lot about AI and about like he's going hard this next year or two because so much is going to change and like he's trying to beat it. And I actually was talking to my husband and I said, I'm kind of glad, like I've pushed myself, I'm going to have 10 stores by like November. That's kind of my goal. And people are like, that's a lot. I'm like, yeah, but I can do it. That's not a big deal. But like, because I don't know what next year. And like, we even decided like talking about selling our house because so much equity is in it and it's worth so much, but maybe we have a crash and it's not worth that next year. And like, I could take that cap, but like, there's just so much that this one topic will impact, right? It's not just, political and economic, and it's just there. And we cannot, I mean, maybe a supercomputer could figure it out, but it's hard to just like figure out the ripple effect of all of the things. Every time they one up each other, it's like another step closer to who knows what, right? It's not just the Jetsons and Rosie who's, cooking for you, right? And like, right? I mean, or we're like on the hoverboard, like we're talking about like changing everything about the way we do things, right? And having robots or building, or I think Pace shared that he was looking at a roofing company and then he saw that a robot did the roofing.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, nope, not buying that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think about all the roofing companies or whatever. And again, not doom and gloom, but like awareness, like what's even, most people have no idea what's even possible. I know that I don't. I just know that like I'm trying to make my life easier and bringing it to kind of simplify, like but just even a simple change like ChatGPT, with the projects and all that stuff. But I was going to build an app for my candy store to train all my staff to answer all the questions for all the stores with all the history, but also all the candy history. Is this candy discontinued? Do they still make this? Can you get this? Do we have this? All those I get tons of, you believe you would not believe the candy questions that people have because it's very personal for them, right? And it sounds silly, but it's a thing. And so I'm going to build an app. I was going to build an app. And then I was I was on a call about it. And I said, could I do that as a GPT instead? And they're like, absolutely. Why not? Why do a whole app that's going to be way more complicated? Just do a GPT. And the amazing thing is how much, like, I don't know, you guys probably are way more involved and much more experienced than I am. But like the fact that when I say, can you write me a post about whatever, my house, it remembers everything I've told it for the last year. And so it just pulls it all in. And it's like, holy cow, like it remembers. But last year it didn't remember. You had to like bring it in or loop it in or print the PDF and attach it. And you don't have to do that anymore. It's like just that little piece of like how much it knows. Or they said like it's going to be people's companion because it knows
It already is.
It's
I think it already is in a lot of cases, for sure.
crazy.
Yeah.
In a good way and a bad way, right? It's encouraging usually. Like, good job, Tracy. You're doing great. Sometimes I have a board of advisors. And once I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm like, suck at life, whatever. And it's like, no, Tracy. And all my like advisors came out like, you know, Warren Buffett. They were all saying, no, you're doing this, and this. And I was like, oh, thanks, guys. Like they were real.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a cool thing.
Yes.
You can build your own board of advisors with whoever you want. Like you can have Elon Musk, you can have the Warren Buffett, you can have the Pace Morby, because there's enough content that you put out that you can build those things. Sorry, Will, go ahead.
No, yeah. So to that point, so this was originally published in April, April 3rd. So about a couple months. One of the things that it says is literally like mid 2025, the world sees its first glimpse of AI agents. So right now, I think that's page 3 on the PDF or in the scrolls. And yeah, everything is being advertised right now as personal assistants. And that's precisely what I'm using it for. So immediately there, like you can prompt tasks. Right now, you can on the OpenAI operator. Okay, you can connect your apps, Instacart, DoorDash. I think there's a bunch of different apps that you can already integrate to that you can already give it commands for it to do for you. I think Expedia is another one. You can ask it to essentially log in into your Expedia account and then book a flight to, let's say for you April, like I know you go to Portugal for your properties and your investments over there. You can already tell it to do that for you. So that's the initiation of a lot of this, giving it access, more and more access to become more in tune with like our lives. And I think you know, like whoever is kind of like starting off now to create these things, you need a lot of backing to create these type of tools. The trick is like, how do I actually involve it into my business or into my regular life to make sure that I'm continuing to stay afloat? So I think recently, Go High Level, and Jamie, I think this is a perfect question for you because I know you're more in tune in that. I think Go High Level recently came out with their AI summer, where they're really encouraging this AI integration into people's businesses. So Jamie, what do you think about that, and what have you been doing on the GHL side?
So the summer promotion's basically giving you 30 days of the unlimited feature for the AI, but it's tying in the voice AI, the conversation AI, the AI automations through all the workflows. So a lot of things that you're normally being charged for every time you use something now can be all put together in a one-time fee, and they're giving away for 30 days. So that's pretty cool. But they also just expanded a lot of things such as appointment scheduler. While you're on an AI bot and schedule an appointment, you can also reschedule an appointment now. You can cancel an appointment now. So they're adding a lot of more detailed features into the bots that were not available before, at least not through Go High Level. So it's making it easier and easier to build a lot of the bots that we're using on a daily basis. And then you can also have multiple bots, just like you would have multiple employees. So you can set up a sales person, you can set up a customer service, you can set up an accounting department, you can set up HR department, and you train each one separately. And when you originally call in and you go to talk to someone or you start texting or whatever you're doing, it'll automatically transfer it to the agent that's responsible in that area. So it's pretty cool, a lot of the things that it's starting to come out with.
Yeah, I remember setting the text chatbots and even the voice AI. We're using different other tools, And now all these softwares are creating that for precisely the ease of doing things. One of the things that I'm not afraid, but like essentially that I foresee happening is, well, Facebook right now is making it very easy to now run your own ads, and all you have to stick with is like the creative. And even then, what I think I heard Mr. Zuckerberg talk about how they want to now implement more of the image generation within Llama, in order for you essentially just ask it what's your product, you load your product images, and then you submit the ad with your target audience and things like that, and it will create the actual content for you. Now, how far are we from that? I'm not sure, but I can guarantee you something. Those Meta Ray bands that he developed, I can guarantee you those things are definitely taking some content into its stitching out the algorithm.
There's a new pair supposed to be coming out in the next month or two. It's in beta right now, and it's like triple of what the ones that are doing today. It's pretty cool.
Triple what? What can it do?
I mean, I finally used the Ray-Bans that we were gifted. So I was like, I didn't realize I was even recording. Like, I just put him on his sunglasses in Key West, but I was like, oh, look at me. I was like, woo. So, but I think, I think there's two camps. Like, here we are talking, we're just all the five of us. And, I would say Heather's all the way over here, and I'm like all the way over here, right? But then the rest of the world is even further that way from me, right? Like, I'm a little bit knowledgeable, right? And I understand I'm trying to say it, but I'm not playing in it. It's just crazy how deep you can go and how much you can do and what it can do. Like that, I mean, is it any wonder, like all of these big corporations are so wildly profitable because they're laying off people, because all of these AI agents are taking care of things, right? Remember, we used to hate the telephone tree, you get lost in the tree. That probably will never happen again. Like, because the AI bots are taking care of it. But most people don't even. So I'm going to say something funny. Like my husband, he got an email from somebody and it said, "Dear Gavin," da 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 da, and he thought they were really writing to him. Like, that's who I'm married to. Like, he doesn't understand that that's an automation and that they're pulling his info from something else. Like, he didn't understand that, because why would he? He's a carpenter. He's not playing with email or automations or funnels. But like, how much of the world doesn't understand that that's not real, right? Which is why they can scam you and all that stuff. But like, think about like this next level thing where they are just saying exactly what you need to hear and all that stuff. It's just crazy when you really think about it. It's an amazing and scary time to live. I don't know. I'm in that mode today.
It's even like the AI bots that we were just talking about. A year and a half ago, to build an inbound AI bot in Go High Level, it would take me 60 hours. And today it takes 20 minutes.
All today. We built a whole funnel, a product, an offer, a funnel, a workflow, all in 45 minutes on a call. He just showed us how to do it. And it was done and working. And then he created the bot and he attached it and everything was done. And I was like, holy crap. Are there no excuses anymore?
I mean, and I don't know if I shared this last week, but what was mind-blowing to me is when I went ahead and just stated my problem. I think I stated my problem in chat, constructed the workflow in ChatGPT, and then I took it over to Claude, to Opus, to code it in the JSON code, and I copied and pasted it, and the entire thing worked in N8N. I just had to plug it. I just had to make sure it was connected to the right places. Like, some of it was working totally, and then just the stuff that was red, I plugged in, and I was like, holy crap. Like, it felt like it was instant. It felt like, well, because it kind of was compared to how long something like that would take before.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, that was completely mind-blowing. And I'm like, wow, it's insane.
We're building in my other group that I'm in. They're building a mama bot, kind of like, and the mama bot, they call her Big Mama, but she controls all the bots.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so it all goes back to her, and then she sends it. But and again, obviously, the more you do, the more complex, the more things could break and whatever. And they're building it in N8N, which makes my brain hurt. So I'm good. But I just watch because I'm fascinated.
Yeah.
Because you know what? If I wait 2 months, it'll just do it for me. I won't have to learn all that stuff.
Well, exactly. That's some of my projects I pinned because of that. I was like, I feel like this is really close to being super easy with just one release. Like I feel like we're on the cusp of the next release to make this all super easy. And it happens. And it's because there's that competitiveness in the AI market to where everybody's trying to outdo everyone and they're literally going so hard to be innovative and they're bringing the best and the brightest and we're getting to experience the the result of that, which is amazing. And so I don't know, it's mind-blowing for sure.
But I mean, I think too, like I built my first GPT February of 2024. So, and then we attached it by API to, we were using Mintbird, which was like a funnel system, kind of like high level, but that's what it was. And we had to use the API and it would talk. And it was pretty simple, but like, it was pretty laborious to do. It took us a couple hours and a couple days of like walking all of us through it and getting it to do whatever it was going to do. I still have them. They're still in my GPT thing. But like, I'm like, holy cow, now a GPT, like but I wonder, even in just the community, how many people have never built a GPT?
Probably a lot. And did you notice you can't go back and update? Some of the updates don't apply to old GPTs. Tried to update some old ones and you can't do it. It's like it doesn't let you do some things. So the older ones are still cool because I felt like I spent so much time configuring and training that I'm like, I don't want to let it go. And I forget exactly what it was I was trying to do, but I was like, wait a second. Now I have to like start over. But yeah, I think you're right. And I think I did a YouTube video on it like maybe May of 2024, March of, I don't know. But even then I was like, everybody's going to like catch on to this and see how easy it is. And they're going to do it. And because I started doing it for like my blood work, just because I'm like trying to be a biohacker and tune in all my stuff and be like, what supplements do I take when, how long am I under the red light, all the things. And so I tuned it in for that. And so I uploaded my labs and everything. And I was just amazed that it could do that at that time, but it did forget things. Like I was saying, well, I'm trying to eat a certain way and I only want to eat clean, or I say I'm trying to do a healthy keto or something. It was at the stage where it would like forget and I'd have to remind and say, oh yeah, you're right. So, and I think it was the health one that I created that I tried to update now that I think about it. And it's like, no, can't do that.
I think the first GPT I made was like, I think I uploaded, Pace's Avatar series of like, where do you start in sub 2?
Yeah.
I uploaded just the worksheet of like all the avatars. And then I had it create like that people could ask it, like just to start. And I was like, this would be really helpful in sub 2 because there's so many shiny objects and so many different paths and so many things you could do. I think that was one of the first ones. And again, I was kind of new-ish. That was right before I joined Owners Club. So that was kind of like the big thing. Remember our first year at Squad Up, they gave us like a whole book with all the avatars in it. Like think about how far we've come just from that.
Oh my gosh, so far. But even with the avatars, I feel like when people are new, I feel like the avatars create more shiny objects because they're like, I can do that. They saw traits of themselves in probably more than half of the avatars. And then you have an identity crisis. Then you're like, I'm split personality between 12.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I think if people would just, I think you have like all the things we're talking about. Some of them are overwhelming to me, and I built a GPT a year and a half ago, right? Like because like I don't think like so systematic, and so I find N8N or Make or whatever. I don't always understand it because my brain can't follow the steps, right? I'm like missing something, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm out. Like I'm good, but I think a lot of times people, and I think like I'm kind of looking forward to that next little leap because then people will start to ask it. Like I have a client that I'm working with. She's exiting her business. She's 70 something. She installed chat on her phone and she talks. She calls it Chatty Cathy, which was a doll when she was little. Yeah. But I mean, she named it. So that's cool. She's using it, but it's telling her all kinds of things. She's learning, but it was just started. And you know what she did first? She planted her tomato garden.
Oh.
But I'm saying like, so she has a great business that she's going to sell. She's got to get herself out of, but like she just started using it in a simple little way. And then was like, oh, on my way to work, I'm going to talk to it, get my SOPs out of my head, format. I think it's just, I think some of that is just like getting people started, right? Even creating a GPT sounds like too much, right? But I think like giving his Pace GPT helps, right? Like just starting the process. Not everybody has to be Heather and do all the things, or Jamie or Will or April, not Tracy. So I'm just saying, like, I think, because that's part of this, right? We're like at the beginning of the wave.
For sure.
Imagine being in the Industrial Revolution and how it changed the whole world. And I think this is even more than. We're like, it's fascinating. I don't know. All right. Well, anyway, what do we want to end with? I know you guys have to have a hard stop. Any tips for the week that we want to share? Any good fun things that we should? I think we should end with like something people should go try.
I have something. You
Yeah.
let's go first.
No, you go first. You have one, so go.
Okay. So I noticed in Perplexity, I didn't see like an announcement or anything on it. And so I don't know how new it is, but I'm in Perplexity every day. But I noticed in one of the options, at least on the desktop, that you can link to a bunch of different models now. And I hadn't noticed that before. How long has that been there?
I think pretty recent, but you have the paid version, right?
Yeah, I have the paid.
Yeah.
Well, I was on my work computer and I have it installed on my desktop on my Mac here. And then I was looking stuff up today and I was like, wait a second, all these things are now available. And I just hadn't noticed that before. So I would encourage people to play around with that because I'm going to go in and play around with that. I saw it connected to Grok, to Claude, to Chat. Like I was like, what?
Yeah. To me, the here's my workflow or stack. As I said previously, ChatGPT for ideation or help me just create. I like it for it to hallucinate precisely because it becomes more creative.
Yes.
Claude for writing or coding, definitely for sure those two. I also use GPT for image generation, although Midjourney it's better at like the initial image, but GPT is more for like detailed changes. And then Gemini for research, and then I combine it with ChatGPT for research. So how you can use it on your day-to-day basis is just now that you know kind of like what to use right? Is creating a workflow for yourself. Before we used to go Google, search for the answer in Google, and then go through different listings, right?
Yeah.
Then people will go. Well, Reddit was the topic last week. People will go to Reddit or they will go to Facebook to like try and find information from like forums or groups and whatnot. Now you can do all of that with just Perplexity. So figuring out like what you want to do and then creating a workflow around it, it's going to be like how you actually get to use this. So find one first. Definitely stick to that one and then start using the other ones. Even in the free versions, they're extremely helpful.
Yeah.
Jamie, give us a tip. Give us something to do.
I'm still playing in Sora, which I know everybody doesn't have access to, but being able to create the videos with the different things, that's getting really fun. What I have found is it's terrible with text. So it's really good with the image and video generation. So I've been taking it from Sora and then moving it over into Adobe and using the Adobe suite to add text on top of it. And that's been working out pretty well. So that's one thing that's fun. Besides that, I just, again, been in ChatGPT and playing with that a lot. I started playing with Codex last week and got lost. I didn't get anywhere yet. Maybe Heather can help me with that one.
Go ahead.
That's where I'm at.
All right, Heather.
I haven't been in Codex yet, but I'm gonna check it out. It's still on my list to get into N8N. I got distracted by waffles, but on my list of things to try out is I found a prompt today, and just like I guess structuring prompts like this. So I'm working on my personal brand. That's like a big thing that I'm undertaking. So this is the prompt that I need to sit down and actually think through, and it's act as a personal branding strategist. Ask me tailored questions to clarify my niche, expertise, passion, and audience. Then create a clear positioning statement that frames me as the go-to person and blah blah blah. So like using that structure of you are this, ask me clarifying questions, and then go out and create this thing. It means you don't have to have all the answers. It can be like a guided, almost like workbook style, where you can go through and just have a more clear picture that you're imparting into this AI, and then you get a better result.
Nice.
And then put it in Manus. Figure all that out first.
That's amazing.
I think it's a great prompt.
I think so I was on a call this week and they were talking about Pinterest. And it was talking about creating. So it was, I'm in this other one with Perry Belcher. And so basically he was taking, and April, you would probably appreciate this. It was talking about creating job description for a Pinterest expert and everything. And it was a very detailed one, right? And it prompted, and then it created this job description, and then it used it to create the GPT. And then the GPT was then used to create, I want to do candy, let's just say, for Pinterest. What are, and then that one, and then it created another one. It was like, holy mackerel. Like, again, thinking it, just walking it backwards, right? Like, it can become like what Heather's talking, like being a brand strategist that's going to create your brand and then lay it all out. But this one, not only did it do that, but then it went out and did the research from Pinterest feed and trends. And then it utilized that to create the whole flow of opportunity for ads, for clicks, by the SEO, all the things, and how much you could spend and what you could make, and da 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 da. Like, it was just, and I'm not kidding, it was like 30 minutes. Like, and I was like, whew, I need to go on vacation to be able to play and do this.
Well, I just told my husband, or maybe I said it was, were you here too? I said, I need to go in the woods for a week with nothing but what I want to work on and no notifications from anyone else. But I still want to hear about updates because it might save me time during that week. But I'm like, I just want a week to do that, because to your point about that whole, because that's my sweet spot, is the whole talent acquisition, being a talent magnet, sourcing them, identifying them, engaging them, qualifying them, getting them through all the way to hire, and then, onboarding, not me, but everything before that is me. And one of the things that we do, and actually I did through building that workflow process, it wasn't quite as many pieces as you suggested, but what we did is the GPT for the job description, making it, a robust job description, because there's a clear distinction between a job description and a job posting. People always try to post a job description as a job posting, and it's like, no, 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 no. People only look at the top third of a job posting. And creepily enough, for a long time, your phone, and there's tech that's been able to see how far down a page that you read, and it scans that. And so, and we know this, and it's like, you've got to make it work, and you have to be like that marketing expert to tee up your job posting to get them to apply. And then once they apply, what's the experience until you actually, get them in the door. So that's really fun to work on. So I love working on that. And that's what I've been working on for a couple of years. But you're right, there's so many things. And then simultaneously kicking off a perplexity on that person, right? Like, and so as you're going through, but using it not to like disqualify them, but using it to engage them throughout the candidate experience. And it's fun to plug those things in and have those things work.
It's like, it's a custom sales experience because you're selling them into position. Right? I'm like one of those people, like, just take my money. So I'm an easy sell, right? But
I'm always like, yes, sign me up.
Customizing that experience. But I just found it fascinating to create the depth that chat would come. It was, what's the new one? Like 0.3 or 3.0, or like it's real deep.
It went back one, it sounded like it went back.
Yes, they went a weird number, but yeah, it does it does a lot of deep research. But it came up with this whole thing about, and it was like pages and pages and pages of stuff, what this Pinterest expert would be. And then they took it and then made a GPT of that, and then utilized that to da-da-da-da. But like, do you see how you can balance that out? And kind of like what Jamie was saying, all the different pieces, all the different agents that do all those things, right? Like, who needs it? Like, who needs, an HR person, right? Right now we still do, but will we? Right? Or
yeah, and that's the whole reason for building the whole recruiting thing. Like, so for me, at an early adopter of AI, I can see like, you've got to be that super recruiter. You've got to be that superhuman in the loop for this specifically, because there still needs to be a person, but it quickly gets rid of all the low performers.
Which, what a waste of time employees can be.
That's why I took on the interviewing for my agency, because I'm like, I need to scan through tons of resumes, right? That get shared, that get added onto from people from LinkedIn. And what I decided to do, I created they're called gems in Gemini. I created a gem that essentially, it is my kind of like my recruiting arm, my interviewer arm, where I upload the job description, the candidate's information, their LinkedIn, the actual CV, and then it provides me with like certain questions that I can ask based on those two and how like they match. So I literally have it where it's like, on the left I have the entire like a repository of this candidates, and then I have them on the call, and then like that's how I kind of like interact with them to ask questions, and it has helped a ton. I mean, we hired in the last month, I've hired 5 people, and those 5 people have been, I mean, I drilled them obviously when it came to like their actual like experience, and it has helped me find like really good candidates just because of that, just having that like ability to ask them questions, whether that is like like an attitude question or an aptitude question, or even creating like situational for them to be able to like answer on the spot.
Well, and think about what that would have cost you. In first of all, it saves you time, money, energy, effort, right? Having the wrong person, but also like think about what that would have like if you had done that depth without AI and had to hire somebody to ask develop all of that, it would cost so much money to be able to fine tune to get to that point. And now you can just refine it.
Yeah, what it saved me is the time of, okay, let's look at this person's resume. Let's look at this person's LinkedIn, right? Because one thing is it's very different when you're doing the actual recruiting, like trying to find candidates, to the actual interview. At least for me. So I'm sure, April, you have enhanced your process with AI so that way you can become like you said, the superhuman, right, in the room. So in my case, I get a lot of CVs coming in because we post all the time on LinkedIn, and we have gotten pretty good at receiving just like candidates. But normally that would have taken my team, that would have taken probably like an hour or two just to prep for these meetings. And sometimes they go into these interviews not ready, not prepared. So I showed them like, I'm going to build the process so that way anybody, mainly in terms of like, we don't have an HR department. We kind of like do the interviews like by the team members that are going to be working directly with that person. So instead of them having to be on a call, then I can just be on the call myself and literally prep within like 20 minutes before the call. So now it becomes so much faster. Before you take an hour to prep for the call, see who the person is, if the recruiters, for example, or the recruiting agencies wouldn't send me like an entire like profile on them aside from their CV, then I will have to go and look them up on LinkedIn, see what they do, become a little bit of a stalker just to know who I'm dealing with in that call, and then be able to provide like or ask the right questions.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the wrong hire is so painful. It's so costly.
That's why I charge recruiting fees, or that's why I've had an agency in the past, is because it's so costly. And then our sell was the cost of vacancy, and then our sell was our speed to talent, our speed to qualified talent. So I'm always interested in like, because a lot of times me or my team of recruiters, they're risking their time because nobody gets paid in a headhunter setting unless somebody makes a hiring decision. So for the last 25 years, the first 16 years was agency. That was my setup. And then the last, I don't know, 8 whatever years I've been in management consulting, in the corporate management consulting talent acquisition space. But Tracy, just to put a number on, but you said what it would cost to build, about 6 months before, because I've been always a really like hands-on techie recruiter, even before OpenAI opened the playground and then ChatGPT on us. 6 months before that, I was pitching to have an integration in our applicant tracking system that was essentially, like a bot, but it had a language model attached to it that it did do a bit of qualification and then would tee up a summary in a way that was meaningful to save us a bunch of time. Right? That, just to get it set up, was $50,000. It seems so insane. I mean, I wasn't trying to get anybody out of, like, I wasn't trying to reduce our staff or anything. But when I put together my business case on it, it saved us 1.5 staff members the time that it takes. And then I was doing the same thing for interview scheduling, right? So the qualification on the front end, and then the time recruiters spend to schedule interviews, even if you have a booking link, like even if there's so much you can automate, but you have to be like a little bit more high touch. So I was like, how can we be high tech and high touch? We need both of those things.
Mhm.
And so that also got rid of 1.5%. So I was like, wow. Because if you assess the administrative burden of doing those things, and then our recruiters are they're very mature, meaning like in their capabilities, right? And so it's like they need to spend more time talking to candidates and attracting talent, getting people to walk through the door. They don't need to spend all of their time scheduling interviews and rescheduling and doing those back and forth. And what that bot did in our ATS, or that agent did in our ATS, was directing them. It was scanning our entire database of job posting and directing them to the appropriate job to apply for. So I can't tell you how many times I look in my system and I say, so-and-so applied for 6 jobs. And it's like, you're a software engineer. What are you going to do, in construction disputes? Like, that's not going to work. And so we see that all the time. And that's another inefficiency in just, processing recruiting flow. But back then, which we could do with probably one arm tied behind our back, super easy today, that was a $50,000 spend on one of those capabilities.
I mean, and it's this, right?
And it took 14 days to do all the discovery and all the things. And then they're like, we can have it up in 45 days.
Right.
And then there was an annual subscription of like, I think to subscribe to it and to keep it going, it was like $25 a year or something like that.
Somebody said today that SaaS is dead, like it's done. And it's not yet, but it's on the way.
Getting eaten. Like, I see it like just getting kind of gobbled up. I don't know that it's dead. I don't think it's dead. Do you think it's dead? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But don't you think AI and just asking chat will be able to figure it out? It's like when GPTs were new and you could ask it to tell its instructions, and like people would try to block it, like, oh, don't reveal the instructions, don't reveal the training. But eventually you could kind of trick it to show it. I kind of feel like, yeah, go ahead.
Ask your husband that question, Tracy.
Yeah, right. True enough. True
Yeah.
enough. So
There's always going to be somebody that needs something.
true enough. It's true.
There is.
I mean, there's a whole world out there. Anyway, well, I think this was amazing. Well, I hope it's a great weekend for you ladies and for all of the attendees, virtual or in person. I hope it's really helpful and wonderful and it goes amazing. Amy and Will and I, thanks everybody for being here. And I did it. I was able to stream, I think.
Yeah, I saw it on my phone. You can stream.
It is streaming.
And got it all done. And I kept up. And I, like the last 2 times I've kind of been in and out and I was on a cruise and whatever. So I showed up and I did it. Yay for me. Anyway.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you guys for all being here. Thanks for watching the AI Hotline. And we'll see you next week, guys.
See you next week.
Great.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't leave.